And by the way, it's Bourbon Mike, not Urban Mike. That's what we just heard. He's not very urban, as you're going to see. It's gonna be great. So, of course, for a little bit of historical standpoint, right? So, spirits, whiskeys, maybe bourbons. We'll talk about that. Have been an integral part of Texas history, just like our first president, right? Big Drunk, or was it Big Drunk? Sam Houston. Is that what they called him in the something like that.
Well, I mean, we are here in the center of Texas, in the center of the world, right here at Republic Boot Company.
Center of the universe.
Center of the universe, actually. And we're all about handcrafted.
Yep.
And having handcrafted spirits. That's another good
handcrafted music
bourbon,
on this stage.
Music,
Boots.
boots.
Love
everything.
it. Everything. It's gonna be great. Well, without further ado, let's introduce good old Bourbon Mike. Come on, man. There he is.
Welcome.
Good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Bill.
How are you? Good to see you.
So his name is Mike Wright, right? So we call him Bourbon Mike sometimes. We've known each other for a long time. We're big Texas history guys as well. And that's how I met this guy, right? So we're all about Texas independence, the Texas nationalist movement. So back in the days, we'd go and do different events. I think one of the coolest ones, we did the Come and Take It Festival out in Gonzales.
Gonzales, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, supporting Texas and all that.
Yeah. I remember we met at a barbecue restaurant up in Humble.
Tascasita? Yeah.
Yeah. Going out there for a Texas nationalist meeting, this guy walks in.
Oh, jeez.
And within 5 minutes, like, all right, we're going to be friends. And,
like-minded folks.
God, that was probably back in 2007, 2008, somewhere around there.
Next thing you know, he's been branded.
Yes, I've been branded. Yeah, it's funny how the story all comes together, and back the previous place y'all had, I'd come by and I would visit there, and then we opened up. I'm in the liquor business, so we have a store.
Longhorn Liquor, by the way.
Longhorn Liquor. So we have we got 12 locations throughout the area. Our closest one here is in the Heights on Shepherd, and which just happens to be right down the road.
Oh, danger.
From Republic,
danger.
The center of the universe. And so I find myself here usually once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks, coming by just to check my guys out, and or 3 times. My boss.
Well, you bring the goodies, so
listening.
everybody's nice to you here because you bring the goodies for sure.
Yeah, I always like to bring a bottle of whiskey or hard to find beer, I guess now.
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, I brought a couple of Texas spirits out here that are handcrafted. I like the way y'all tied all that together, which I'll do with boots and music. I'm a massive Texas music fan as well. And that's really something that my journey in the spirits world started in.
The spirit world, man.
Yeah, just 2019.
Are you in the spirit world right now?
Yeah.
That's a different spirit world. It's a totally different podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
It happened
Guns are kicking in.
after 11 p.m.,
Too
I
late.
believe.
Peyote. No.
Yeah.
But
Well, how did you get into the world to
yeah, so
begin with?
as you know, I had a catering business for a long time based out of Beaumont, doing a lot of refinery work.
Have you had barbecue as good as J Bar?
I'll be
over here, by the way.
As soon as the first bite of brisket, I think I turned to Bill and was like, "Who made this?"
Good stuff.
Like you could tell immediately that it's legit. I was in the Hill Country this past weekend. We hit up a couple of places out there, and that's as good a brisket as I've had in the state of Texas. And so to know that there's another option here in Houston, we've actually had a couple of good ones pop up in the Beaumont area. And it's exciting to see these people that are really getting into it from a craft perspective.
Well, it's a passion, right? We talk about handcrafted stuff. I mean, they put a lot of effort into that. I mean, with the spirits, the liquors, the bourbons, all these things. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. And I know you've introduced me. You're kind of probably one of the top bourbon or spirit guys in the state of Texas, I think now. I know you have a podcast.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah, a lot of
incredible.
people give me those accolades. I'm happy to take them. Pretty much self-taught. Just went down a rabbit hole. Got very passionate about it. A journey that started at Garrison Brothers, which is
Are they the oldest one here in Texas?
as far as I know. I was actually thinking about that over on the drive this morning. The first that I know of is Garrison Brothers, which started distilling whiskey in 2008.
And that's a grain to bottle, right? There's a difference there, right, on the how you make the stuff, right? I mean, they go Hill Country Rain and the grain, and then all together.
Yeah, they have a rainwater collection system out there that they use to make their bourbon and to proof it back down. All the grains they use, primarily corn, and so they'll differentiate between a white corn and a yellow corn, but all that's sourced here in Texas, and so yeah, you're getting a true Texas spirit and that's the same with a couple of these guys I brought today. Balcones out of Waco, which is one of my favorite distilleries. They do the same thing. They source all their grain
Balcones?
from across the state, and so I think for people like us that are truly love Texas, and it's a one of a kind spirit. You'll see the color.
That's Garrison Brothers right
there's
there,
Garrison
yeah.
Brothers
All
there.
right.
One thing I want to point to real quick, if you look at all three of these bottles, is the color of the juice on the inside.
Is that what you call it, the juice?
Yeah, I call it juice. That keeps me out of trouble with the wife. So,
I can go there.
Darn the juice. Yeah.
but you get a lot of these rich, dark colors that you don't see in a lot of even Kentucky bourbon, especially like an Andalusian, this middle one, that's actually a Texas single malt, so think Scotch. We're not making it in Scotland, so we can't call it Scotch. But I've got 27-year-old bottles of Scotch on my shelf that are, super, super light in color. The heat down here in Texas really lends to the accelerating the aging process.
Are you putting it in American white oak as well?
So
Is
it can.
signing?
So this is definitely going to be fresh charred, new American oak. Same with this guy right here. That's part of the rules of bourbon. This here, they can use.
The ABCs, right? The ABCs, American made, mostly corn and a new charred barrel,
Yep.
right?
Yep. At least
Got it right, huh?
At least
Good, yeah.
51% corn. So that's to be called a bourbon. Obviously, this guy's 100% barley. What I like about what Andalusia's doing on Scotch, a lot of people love those heavy smoked peated Scotches. I'm not a fan.
Kind of petrol-y to me. I mean, if you're used to something like this and it's a little bit sweeter to the palate,
Yep.
that's a little off-putting.
Yeah,
But I know
you really have to
people-
get a taste
Yeah,
of
for
that, in my
sure.
opinion.
I
It's
I
not
travel a
something-
lot in the Scott, the European guys. They love that real kind of. For me, it's fossil fuely.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I mean, it's peat, right?
The first bottle of Scotch I ever bought, I was at a softball tournament and bought a bottle of Ardbeg and took one sip and was like, man, that's like licking the inside of a chimney. And it was not pleasant at all, so I kind of turned off from Scotch and then got reintroduced to single malts through Balcones and Andalusia, and really brought me around, with those deep notes. You don't get that petrol-y type finish on it. It's you get a lot, really actually some more of those bourbon notes, that sweetness, that caramel, brown sugar, just a little bit different, the way it's presented, but still a lot of those sweet notes that people love.
Yeah, and I'm passionate about, of course, we do it really well, right, as far as the whiskeys and bourbons here in Texas. We have the wines, which I'm a big wine guy as well, and the Texas wines is kind of creeping up there. It's a $2-3 billion industry, and it's hard, doing out there in Fredericksburg with the sandy loam, but you have a lot of freezes and stuff, so that it's a little bit different than if you talk about in Europe, some of the different wines, the beers, of course, we have here. But I think this is kind of our thing, right? We're kind of perfecting a good bourbon or a good whiskey overall. And of course, we do have nice vodkas in our portfolio of spirits as well.
Absolutely. There's a ton of spirits being made throughout the state now. A lot of them right here in the city of Houston. You've got, just from the whiskey side of things, Giant Distilling.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah,
they worked with us. We've done some stuff with them.
Yeah.
They're great guys.
Love those guys. I'm a fan of what they're doing. But William Price and Whitmeyer's, obviously, like Gentle Ben and some of those spirits, they're all coming right here out of the city. Galveston actually has a fairly new distillery down there called Texas Tell that's putting out a line of whiskeys called Coastline. And they're making some good stuff down there as well.
Awesome.
So you're seeing more and more of these craft distilleries pop up, and they really have to bring an A game. They can't just come with and the same thing whether we're talking barbecue or boot making or you can't just kind of work your way through it or go through the motions. You really have to bring a passion, and you can see that in the final product. Competition.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff within it. As you kind of educated me on some of these. Some of these guys are doing the grain to bottle and putting a lot of effort into it. I've seen some of these companies just kind of popping up because at first you had the Garrison Brothers and a few of these others. Then you had this whole other. If you go into maybe even your store, Longhorn Liquor, you might see just tons of brands. They're like kind of a branding, a marketing company where they're not really distilling so much. They're kind of just branding that from bigger batch distillers, right?
Yeah, you do have some distilleries or quote unquote distilleries in Texas that they're buying, barrels from, MGP out of Indiana, which is a massive whiskey producer in the United States, probably the biggest in the United States. Nothing wrong with MGP juice. It's great whiskey, but for people like me, and I think people that really consider themselves uniquely Texas, they're looking for something a little bit more authentic.
Right.
And so I think that's where these guys come in line. Like Still Austin, like you drink Garrison Brothers. I don't care if you give me 100 blind pours of bourbon throughout the country. I'm going to pick that guy out every time. It has a very distinct flavor profile. That's what drew me to it. That's where my whiskey journey personally started. I was out at Fredericksburg doing winery tours and saw the sign on 290 for Texas.
Yeah,
they claim Texas' oldest distillery on the sign.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not all about.
They do.
It's like it's not all about wine out here. You come to High Texas, and you take the turn, and you.
So I did. I took that turn and went down there and was just blown away by what I witnessed that day and the acreage they have out there. It's absolutely stunning. And that started. I'd never bought a bottle of whiskey in my life before then, and it just, I don't know. There's something that connected with me that made me start really getting interested in whiskey and wanting to know not only how it was made, but all the the different variations of whiskey there were out there. And here in Texas, which still very primarily, most people find themselves in the lane of bourbon. That's what they're looking for, and there's nothing wrong with that. At Longhorn Liquor, I really lean into the whiskey. We do some other whiskey-related events where I really take the challenge to introduce people to other spirits within Texas, but outside of the bourbon realm.
So outside the bourbon realm, I mean, you're talking about the ABCs. We kind of went through that a bit, but the other just standard whiskeys. What makes that just a standard whiskey? Is it just what's?
Well, yeah. So you have the ABCs of bourbon. So anything that falls outside of that, even if they're making primarily a corn mash bill,
like a rye
but they're
or
not
something?
they're not aging it in a new charred oak barrel.
Okay, gotcha.
Then you can't call it a bourbon. So at that point, it's an American whiskey. If you're using rye, I mean, the main thing with calling it a rye whiskey is using 51% rye grain as your primary base. The single malts, those are typically 100%, always going to be 100% barley. And then, but Garrison Brothers is a great example. I would say overwhelmingly most bourbons throughout the country made with 3 grains. You're always going to have your 51% corn. You're going to have a little bit of rye, and then there's always going to be about 5% malted barley. There's some enzymes in there that really help with the fermentation. But Garrison Brothers actually uses wheat as their secondary grain. So that's not as common, but a lot of people gravitate to those more wheated bourbons. So
Let's talk about the Longhorn Liquor journey. How did you get in with great guys? Dennis and Mike Williams, been big supporters of ours as well. I mean, they're amazing. But how did you get into that orbit with these guys?
yeah, so late 2019, fallen in love with Garrison Brothers. Started going. My catering business was flourishing. Every Wednesday, I was going to a Longhorn Liquor and I was buying 3 bottles of whiskey.
Yeah.
And I called
Because you're doing really well, and then you switched over. I'm like, I thought that was fantastic for you, but I guess this was.
I had some massive catering jobs that were coming to an end, and I was ready to take 3 months off, and COVID hit. And so then I took my 3 months off and found myself chain smoking cigarettes on the back patio and not feeling like a big old POS because my wife's going to work, but I didn't have nothing to do. And I just woke up one morning and said, man, it'd be awesome if I could work closer with whiskey somehow. Like it was a newfound passion that I really wanted to explore. And literally the next day in a Facebook group that me and Mike Williams were both happened to be a member of, never knew Mike Williams, never knew Dennis Williams. He just posted that they were looking for somebody at Longhorn Liquor.
Wow.
I threw my name in the hat just to see, and it took about 3 weeks for them to convince me to come on, and the rest is history. And as soon as COVID ended, I had plenty of opportunities to go back in the catering world, but
Did they start there in the Beaumont area?
they did. So their first store was in Lumberton, Texas, which is about 15 miles north of Beaumont. That was 2012, I believe. And so Dennis was actually the one that kind of helped that community go from a dry community to wet. And so they opened up the first liquor store that had ever been in Lumberton, Texas. And then from there, they just started dotting them, around the southeast Texas area. till they got 9 stores, and then we started expanding into Houston. With the Katy store came first, and Mont Bellevue came first, then Katy, and then we opened up this Heights store. I think the holiday season of 2021. I think that's right. And then and this is where we're continue to expand. We've got several more stores coming to the area. Got a big store coming to Bolivar Peninsula.
That's going to be a cool one
Nice.
right there.
Yeah,
With, Margaritaville's there, right?
Know where it is.
There's a lot of stuff going into
That'll be
Crystal Beach
busy.
area.
Yes, that one's going to be insane. It's probably the one I'm looking most forward to. Just getting my hands.
Where's
in there.
Bourbon Mike's on the beach, man?
Yeah.
Crystal Beach, riding around
So-
golf carts.
But I think people that come, most people going down to Bolivar Peninsula are coming from either the Houston area or the
Yeah.
Southeast Texas area. And so luckily for us, we've been able to reach, communicate with that community and bring them in and become fans of Longhorn Liquor. So I just thought it made sense to
Yeah.
go down there and give them a place to shop when they're at the beach that they know they're going to get fair prices
Wow.
and shop with people that they're familiar with.
Well, you made your mark because we love Dennis and Mike Williams, but when we think of Longhorn Liquor, we think of you.
Well, I
You're the guy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I mean, it's really my friendship with Chris going. I've always, just loved, everything, how passionate he was about everything, and then to come in and be able to meet y'all. I mean, it's selfish for me to be, even, related with y'all and in the same breath of coming in here and I'm glad that I got to introduce y'all to Dennis and Mike. They're great guys.
That they are.
They quickly became customers as well, and we've done a couple of events together, at a Southeast Texas Whiskey Fest.
Yeah, let's
and-
talk about that. I mean, you're talking about this being in Beaumont. I was like, okay, is Beaumont really the place? But it is, right? There's a lot more going on in Beaumont. My wife's from Beaumont. My grandfather was born in Beaumont. But the area is really becoming the hub of, like, the whiskey thing. And I think this festival is one of the biggest, best in the United States, right?
Yeah, I think once I got in with Longhorn, not to be braggadocious or
Yeah,
anything,
come on, man.
I
Bring it.
really connected with the community down there. A lot of our customers that were coming in looking for finer whiskeys and having conversations 30, 45 minutes on the whiskey aisle. You walk into some of our stores, our Heights store, Beaumont store, Lumberton store, it can be pretty intimidating.
Absolutely.
It's we several thousand different bottles of different
Yeah.
whiskeys from around the world. And we just get in conversations and really connect with people. Lucky enough to call a lot of these people very close friends at this point. And so started throwing some events, got with Carrabba's down there. We were doing some bourbon events together, really trying to reach out to the community. 1701 Barbecue, which is a great barbecue joint down there. We did some events with them and really started noticing that there was a market down there for this bourbon. Of course, our tagline at Longhorn Liquor is the whiskey capital of Texas. We were already leaning into it, and we do a lot of single barrel picks, which we can get into later. But that's what this Still Austin is. That's a strictly a Longhorn Liquor bottle. But once I got in there and started making those connections
Sorry,
with
that's
people,
a unique thing for you guys. I mean, you can
Yep.
get certain unique bottles.
So, yeah,
only
Yep.
into Longhorn Liquor.
we go
There it
to
is.
Still
Yep.
Austin and we'll go through and taste several different barrels through their rick house. And
Sounds terrible.
yeah, it's a pretty good perk of the job. I promise you that. We're going to Garrison Brothers this summer. We're going to be, crawling around, digging on the ground, just crawling under barrels, drilling holes, and trying whatever we can.
How does that? I'm trying to imagine. How does that look? So you're on the ground and you're crawling under there, kind of low crawling like military, and then you come up.
That one.
Yeah.
That's the one I can feel.
Open
it.
your mouth and just let it fall.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
He's like, I want to tap
Yeah,
that.
it's,
Just described it pretty accurately. But that's
Sounds pretty
what it
weird,
is.
but
yeah.
pretty awesome at the same time.
Yeah, we'll drill holes in barrels. Got 3 or 4 glasses. We'll get some samples out of, and then take a little wedge,
cork it back
and,
up.
and then just hammer it back in to seal it back up, and
Love it.
and taste through it. And we may taste through 10 barrels.
So would you say
Wow.
that you said whiskey capital of Texas?
Texas.
Is that's kind of your tagline? Is that what you feel like kind of sets you apart, separates you from the pack as far as liquor stores out there in Texas? What,
Yeah, absolutely.
that you're
So-
focused on that kind of that crafting of the whiskey. Is that
We've really we found this niche crowd and our identity. We realize, Specs, Total Wine, Twin Liquors, those are
Sure.
massive chains
Sure.
throughout the state. More power to them. I still shop at that Specs on Smith Street sometimes just because they have,
Yeah.
it's like a candy store,
is.
you know, for spirit lovers. But we really leaned into the whiskey to and kind of created this little niche market where we didn't want to be a mom and pop or some of the smaller liquor stores you see around town that you can walk in and they're just overpacked and look kind of not necessarily grimy. It's very busy and
Sure.
there's not a lot of organization.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah. We wanted to give people a certain experience where they walked in and saw a very, clean, well laid out store, but a massive selection, and then obviously give them a massive, we also, ton of vodka, tequila, everything. Tequila's fastest growing spirit in the United States. So, we carry a lot of that as well, but really where we've leaned into with the Whiskey Fest and everything is letting people know if you want a good, solid, quality bottle of whiskey, come to Longhorn Liquor.
You guys are the experts on it. You got the special bottles. You do some cool stuff, kind of got the brand around it, and you got great prices too. So you're more specialized, which is kind of like what we're doing, right? Yes, there are other boot companies, but we've got the brand. We do the right thing. We give back. We do all these great things, and you guys do give back a lot. Your Whiskey Fest, what'd you guys raise for that? It was a massive.
Yeah, so we've done 2 years, and thanks to you guys being there both years of its existence so far. That was an idea that came out of Mike and Dennis Williams had always kind of wanted to put something on like that. I came on. I'd actually gone to a local whiskey festival here in Houston, brought back some of my ideas. We were able to get it off the ground. First year, we raised $313,000 for during that event for our charity, which is Cure Rare Disease, which is very special to us. And then this last year, we were able to bump that up to a little over $370,000.
Nice.
So almost $700,000 in 2 years of that festival.
Yeah, we're going to be out there and be with you guys every step of the way. That's at January, right? That's every year it's going to be about January, so it's going to be.
It's been the first weekend of January. The first 2 years, we're going to actually bump it back a week this year. Our busiest time of year is, the Christmas season leading up into New Year's Eve.
Yeah, ours too.
And so with the change of the calendar, that festival's getting a little bit too close to New Year's Day, so we're going to actually bump it back a week to give us a little bit more time to.
Because they've got their New Year's resolutions in place. Like, let's go to Whiskey Fest. I'm not going to be drinking this year. But,
we run a lot of New Year's resolutions, and we take pride in that. So.
And then speaking of giving back, he brought me a case of Lone Star a while ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
because it's hard to get it, right? What's going on there?
Bottle and strike.
It's bottle and strike, yeah. Me and Bill I popped my head in here last week. And
you don't need a bottle, just get the kegs, right?
Yeah.
Take it outside the box there.
We're a bottle store.
Yeah.
Got to have a long neck.
So,
but we will improvise.
I know.
Yeah. Well, at least you have Shiner to fall back on. That's also a great Texas
Good
beer.
Texas
That it is, absolutely.
Yeah, but hopefully they get that figured out and Lone Star comes back online soon. I know when I'm out, I drink mainly whiskey at this point. But if I'm out and somebody has Lone Star, that's my go-to beer. The Lone Star full flavor,
Right.
the red.
Same here.
But yeah.
Yep.
Do you drink water?
Yes, Topo Chicos. If I'm not drinking whiskey or alcohol, it's Topo Chico.
We just got sponsored by Topo Chico, by the way.
Did y'all really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
I don't know when that starts. Next week.
The next week to 10 days, we'll be bringing in, and we'll get a delivery every month.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been a big fan of theirs back, I think, before they really blew up, before they sold a Coke, for sure.
Right.
I was buying, I probably drink 30, 35 bottles a week. Wow. Of Topo Chico. That's literally all I drink.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So it's something with that. I got off sodas. I know you can't tell, but I got off sodas and switched over to the Topo Chico, and so it kind of, filled that.
Still get the fizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cokes will kill you for sure. Whiskey won't.
Nah.
Beer won't.
Look, I always told people, especially when COVID came around and everybody started making hand sanitizer, and they're like, making it, it's got to be 100 and whatever proof I'm like, I drink 130 proof whiskey. So
That's right. I'm good.
imagine, I'm feeling every
Right.
thing.
Doing everything.
Very clean inside.
Yeah.
You sweat sanitizer.
Yeah. I just rub my skin after.
So what's next for you guys? Where's your journey kind of going next, or even the Longhorn Liquor together? Where do you see the next 5 years or so kind of going for the company and yourself?
Yeah, so that's kind of two-sided. Like having Mike and Dennis, they're very forward-thinking. we're always trying to, reimagine ourselves and what we can do and how we can separate ourselves from our competitors.
Yeah.
So starts with that. We're always constantly looking for new opportunities to open up locations. We also sell to bars and restaurants, which is a booming part of our business right now. With the laws in Texas, you have to be in the same county. And so we're looking at different counties where we can put stores so we can service those bars and restaurants within that respective county. And then, constantly trying to make Whiskey Fest bigger and improve on that each year, which I feel like we've done over the first 2 years. And we've got some things we're looking at for year 3, and then possibly trying to duplicate that festival and bring it to other markets in Texas.
I love that.
Whether it's Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, but really, utilize that festival to reach out to people, introduce them to new and exciting whiskeys, all the while making money for a great charity.
Yeah, you got a podcast, right, where you kind of dig deeper into some of the different aspects of this. I mean, we could be talking about this for all day long. I love it.
Oh, no,
But
yeah.
what is a podcast and how can people find it?
Yeah, so I've been on a couple podcasts. We're about to launch our podcast, so we've got
I always see you on podcasts. I thought it was your
Yeah,
podcast.
no.
You're always out there
No,
talking
yeah, I
about it.
always get invites to come on different podcasts to speak like we're speaking today, and I love to talk and never shy away from a moment to promote Texas whiskey or Longhorn Liquor or Southeast Texas Whiskey Fest. But we actually will have one coming later this year where you'll see a lot of conversations with master distillers, whether it's within Texas or outside of Texas, but really bringing some more tight conversations, intimate conversations with some of the people that are actually behind the scenes of a particular distillery and how their operation works and what their passion was that brought them into that business. And so just trying to introduce as many people to whiskey as we possibly can.
I love it, man.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we always talk about boots, right?
Okay.
So we're going to talk about boots here a little bit. So you've got boots on, right? That you weren't a big boot wearer. I've known you for a long time. And then we made you, he's like, I need something I'm going to wear everywhere. Just beat them up. And I'm like, Hippo.
Yeah.
And so we did Hippo. So they're working out.
Man, yeah, we're getting on probably 19, 20 months, something like that, of me having these boots. I tell y'all every time I come in, y'all see me wearing them. Actually, I think last week I walked in a pair of tennis shoes.
Yes, you did.
I felt kind of embarrassed.
I was fixing to call you out.
I was in shorts. I was hoping to find my way to a golf course later that day, and that didn't happen. But, yeah, I'd never worn boots in my life. Came in here, me, Mike, and Dennis all got a pair of boots, and I literally, no lie, I'm not blowing smoke up anybody, like, I wear these boots every single day. And except for last Thursday, and but I wear them, 95% of the time, especially in a work setting or event setting. They're perfect to dress up or to dress down. Just be casual. They're very sturdy, the super comfortable, and I'm sure that goes in all the mold. Getting it perfectly fit for my particular foot, and people talk about, custom boots, like, maybe it's a little bit higher price point than what they've been used to in the big box store boot market. But if anybody's ever contemplated or ever thought about it, like, just get down here and see for yourself. It's really,
we appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
We do. So, I mean, there's different styles of boots we make. One is for comfort and for beating stuff up. This actually we have on stage is a fancy dress boots. We did this for Kevin Fowler, Texas musician. So it's got the text is real unique down there. It's got the inlays with the blue alligator and red, white, and blue. It's got the blue trim on it. It's got the red here, but it's also got that hidden guitar cording. So it's oil tan. So it's subtle. It's not too much in your face, but it is, for his
Stage boots.
stage boots.
Yeah.
Fun. You can't see it all the time, so we encourage you to kind of
That's
tuck
right.
it in to kind of, as Steve said, you want to show off something really cool, and I think these are just freaking awesome. So
yeah, it's just part of what y'all do down.
Sorry, I forgot the Komodo dragon on the back of the
That's right.
boots.
You got a little bit of everything on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, who wouldn't want to wear those on stage or
Yeah.
at a whiskey fest? I'll have to come back and get some of those.
Well, thank you, brother. Is there anything else you want to share with us that how we find you and all that?
Yeah, I would say if anybody, we do a lot of events in our stores where we're dropping hard to find whiskeys or new drops that we do, like when we do single barrel picks, and I go and pick a barrel we'll get that bottled specifically for Longhorn Liquor, and then we'll release it through our stores. So I would say the easiest way to find us on Instagram or Facebook at Longhorn Liquor. We'll put any drops that we're doing out there, and we invite y'all to come in our store, see the selection we have, the friendly people. We're really big on customer service.
100%.
And so love to see people come out, and if you see me in the store, don't hesitate to talk to me, and
Trip him. And
yeah. And let's have a conversation on the whiskey out. So
Thank you, Bourbon Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Wright.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, man.
Thanks, buddy.
appreciate it.
Love you,
Thank
man.
you, guys.